Okay, here we are. It's 2 years, almost to the day, after we started our adventure. So we did a 1 year anniversary last year. Now this is time for our second year anniversary, and we're right back where we started. We started March 16th, 2022, in Maryland, and here we are back in Maryland. We're staying at about 4 miles away from where we left the house. We're staying at the Solomon's Island Rec Center on the Navy base. So we're here for a little bit more. We're here visiting friends, doing our doctor's appointments, doing our dentist appointments, because we like our doctors and dentists. We've been here for 23 years, so we come back here every 6 months to take care of that stuff. So while we're here, we're going to do this. It's going to be a lot like last year's. If you saw our other video, it'll be fine. This will be quick and easy. Just a few comments. So I'm gonna. She's involved here in a blanket. She's gonna keep knitting while we do it, and we're enjoying some beverage from one of our harvest hosts that we visit. We visited a whole bunch of harvest hosts over the last 2 years, and we got some favorites. And this comes from a place called Summer Crush down in Florida. And man, we've stayed there I don't know how many times.
4 times.
4, 5, 6 times, whatever. We've been there a lot.
Or 4 times.
It's been 5. Anyways, we stay there a lot because we always stay there overnight before we go down to Key West, because it's a perfect spot for there to drive down into the Keys and get there in the afternoon. So
But this time we stayed there on the way back up. We were coming from the opposite direction.
Yes.
From Texas down to Key West and up the coast instead of down.
Yes.
So this was different.
Yep. All right, so let me start. We'll start asking the questions. Same questions, I think. Pretty much the same questions that we had last video. So I'll ask, is it still worth it?
Yes, 100%, absolutely.
And you're still having an adventure?
Are you?
Yeah, I'm having a good adventure.
Actually, there was no doubt in my mind about that. So yes, I am absolutely having an adventure.
Okay.
And the grandkids have a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Yep. It's been fun. All right. So, in the past year, what has been the most memorable moments? If you had to pick one, I got 3 or 4 of them, but I have to pick one. So.
Well, that's just it. You always want me to narrow it down to one.
Well, you pick one, and I'll pick one that's not that one. How's that?
Well, I think that's pretty much a guarantee.
Okay.
But, because mine's going to be different.
Okay. I'll start then. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna name 2 of them. So if you want to pick one, you can. But the first one is going to be the snorkeling with the manta rays. So we did a nighttime snorkel in Hawaii with manta rays, and that was so awesome. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime thing. Honestly, once in a lifetime. There's nowhere else in the world you can do it, and that was pretty cool. But the one I really had a lot of fun on, it was about a 6-hour thing, was Jerry's Jet Boats in Oregon. that was pretty fun, ripping up that river, going, I don't know how fast we were going. It was fast enough that I lost my hat on that road trip somewhere in one of those rapids.
Like 50 miles an hour?
Yeah, it was fast. It was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, except we were fried like lobsters after we were done, because I didn't wear a hat and you lost your hat.
Yeah. And
we didn't put sunblock on our faces.
All right.
So
it was fun.
It was a little painful afterwards, but it was worth it. So I can't pick one moment.
People are waiting, honey.
Well, I know, but you can edit this part out.
No, I can't.
Yes,
This is one take. We're doing this in one take.
Well, you can edit it out if you want to, so that's up to you. Okay, I'm just gonna say...
This is like when we go to a restaurant and we're getting ready to order. It's kind of the same thing happens.
Do you want this to be over right now?
Go ahead, honey.
Okay.
We'll skip.
Okay, the cloud surfing thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna say when we were up on the top of Haleakala, and we were standing there on the edge of a crater of a dead volcano and looking out towards the ocean, and we were above the clouds.
Yeah, that was cool.
We drove through the clouds to get to the top of Haleakala. It was overcast. It looked like it was going to rain, and I felt like being on an airplane. And you break through the clouds and you get up on top, and it is the most clear blue sky. You don't see any clouds at all above you. The sun is shining bright, and you look out and it's just surreal. It's like it doesn't seem like this is real.
Yep, that's cool. So that was the next thing, is the most scenic views, and that's what I was going to say. Up on Haleakala, that was pretty cool. But since you already mentioned that, I'll pick something else. Because we have had a lot of cool stuff. We saw lots of bears at Yellowstone, so that was pretty fun. That was pretty scenic. Just all Yellowstone, the Tetons was very scenic. I think the Tetons struck me as a more scenic place. So I'll leave it at that. And Glacier was pretty darn cool too. But I mean, we've seen a lot of cool stuff, scenery. Can't hardly pick out one. All right, funnest adventure.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you want to do a
scenic view?
Sure. I just kind of thought Haleakala was double, but
no, I got my own scenic view.
Pick your view. You're gonna say me, right?
If that's what you want to believe, but actually, for real. I think I would have to say it was while we were at Glacier National Park. I think maybe it might have been because I went through a little bit. There was, it was painful for me to get to Hidden Lake, which was where we were going. And the whole time we were hiking on top of a mountain, and we were on the boardwalk path that they built. And the first thing that struck me about being up there was that I was looking at mountain tops that were covered in these wispy clouds that were floating by. So that was kind of one telltale that we were definitely at high elevation. And so we continued on that path, that boardwalk path, and there was just a lot to see along the way. Clear, very just crystal clear streams that were running down along the path, crossing the path, and then we got to Hidden Lake, and it just kind of occurred to me while we were standing there looking at that Hidden Lake that we were two of really a very small percentage of the population that ever get to lay eyes on that vista. That it's literally a hidden lake. We had to take a bus, a shuttle, and I think it took almost an hour to get from where we left our car to go to the visitor center where the path started, and then it probably took us another hour or so to hike up to that place. So there was a great deal of effort involved, and I was dealing with plantar fasciitis, and so it was not, the hike down was also very slow and arduous, but it was worth all of it.
if you guys want to increase the population of the world besides just the two of us and the very few people who've been there, click like and subscribe, because then you can go back and see the channel, or see our channel, and see the pictures and the video of Hidden Lake, because we were there and it's on our channel.
And we also saw a mountain goat.
Oh yeah.
Like close enough that through binoculars.
We watched him go down the mountain and work through the trees and everything, and he was just eating and jumping around. It was pretty cool.
Not that you interrupted me at all.
No. So, funnest adventure.
Well, see, I'm going to say that Jerry's the boat.
Jerry's jet boats. That was in somewhere in Oregon. I can't remember the name of the river. Starts with an R. Rogue. The Rogue River.
In Oregon.
In Oregon. Southern coastal Oregon. Don't remember the town, but that was... If you're ever in that part of the country, do not miss that. It was...
Well, we were staying at Honey Bear on the Sea.
Yeah, but that wasn't the town.
No, but it was close to that.
Yeah, that was close to that. Southern part.
Yeah, wherever the Rogue River is.
Okay, and I'll say, since you said that, we've mentioned the other things, I'm going to say the funnest adventure, and you're going to hit me. Jumping off the rock into the McDonald River, into the ice cold freezing water in the Glacier National Park. Okay.
I fully expected you to say that,
yep.
Because you were the only one crazy enough to do it.
Yeah, it was fun.
You could not have paid me to do that.
I don't know how fun it was. It was an adventure. Okay. So,
yes, and I was just grateful that you didn't have a heart attack.
Yes,
so
me too. Me too. Again, that's on our channel in the video if you want to see that. All right. Most memorable animals. Animal.
I'm going to say the elk, because of the fact that was the closest encounter, save the manta rays, which was also pretty exciting. But the fact that we were in Oregon, in Warrington, Oregon, visiting his cousin, and we had gone out of our way to try to find elk when we were coming up the coast of Oregon. And all of a sudden, here in this little town, we find herds of them. And when we were coming back from town one day, I think we'd been to the post office or something, and you saw the elk. We turned the corner. There were 6 of them in someone's front yard.
And I stopped, and she got out.
Yes, and when I was taking pictures of the 6 that were in the person's front yard, another one came out of the foliage behind me, and I happened to look over, and she was probably not more than maybe 5 feet away.
Yeah, from you to the camera right here. I was looking in the rear view mirror. I could see it happening. I'm like, I wonder if she sees that one.
Well, and
snuck up on her.
She looked at me, and I looked at her, and we both just stood there, and she allowed me to take her picture.
For what such large animals, they are very stealthy and quiet.
And there was no fence between us.
Yep.
And then we also, later on, saw several bull elk, and they were also very close, although we were both of us in the truck at the time, but still very close encounter.
Yep. So mine is going to be Lamar Valley in Yellowstone, because in that one valley we saw wolves. I saw them through a telescope thing, but she couldn't find them, and a bear.
It's animal.
I know, but I said I made it plural when I was asking the question. So, so we saw bears. We saw tons. This is where the big herds of buffalo are, in Lamar Valley, not Hayden Valley. And when you want to see lots and lots of buffaloes together, it's in Lamar Valley
with calves.
With calves, and there were antelope in there with them. Further down the road, we actually saw a couple more mountain goats up on the mountains in the snow.
You did. I didn't.
And we saw some black-tailed deer.
I thought you said coyote.
And we did see a coyote, and she saw a fox. I didn't see it, but she saw a fox. So we saw all of that in Lamar Valley in one day. Oh, and an eagle. We had an eagle land right by us. So yeah, that was cool. So I gotta say that's where we saw lots of
That
them.
was an abundance of wildlife.
Okay, now we come to this one, the most harrowing moment. Kind of the scariest moment, maybe.
I don't really remember having.
I have one.
Yeah,
You want me to go?
sure.
Okay. So we were driving on a road in Mississippi, and as we're driving along, there's a car in front of us, maybe 100 yards in front of us, and we're coming up to an intersection, and there's a semi-truck waiting right there to cross the road. And he let the truck in front of me go, and of course he can see me. I'm hauling a big trailer. You can't miss it. And he knows I can't stop. I'm like him, a semi-truck. You can't just stop.
Well, we don't
And
know what he knew.
I don't know what I know he wasn't thinking. That's what it was. He pulled out right in front of me, and I couldn't believe it, and barely missed him. I slammed on the brakes, and anyways, that video is also on our channel. So that's there too if you want to see it. It's a short one, but that was the scariest one. I'm still unpuckering from that one. So
Well,
all right.
I wasn't driving, so that's probably why that wasn't as traumatic to me as
Yeah.
it was.
Other than that, we haven't had anything, knock on wood, yet. Knock on wood. It's
Well, no, neither one of us hanging off of a cliff and screaming for help or anything like that.
yeah, or jumping into ice cold water and not coming up.
That was you.
That didn't happen.
That was totally you. But when we were going up and down the sides of mountains, we did have moments.
Oh yeah, we had that sheep moment when you were going like 90 miles an hour down a mountain.
Failed that test.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you failed that test. Just profoundly. In spectacular fashion. So, but there were plenty of moments where we were on a narrow road. Even like in Yellowstone comes to mind where we were going to Lamar Valley. Was that it?
Yeah, we drove
I didn't know
all
if I got
over.
the name right.
Yes, Lamar Valley and
Okay.
Hayden Valley. We drove through Hayden Valley to get to Lamar Valley.
Well, but when Yellowstone flooded, that portion of Yellowstone flooded up at the northeast, or was it northwest?
Yeah, the north.
Where
Yeah.
that gate is.
By
That,
Mammoth Hot Springs. It was up there.
Where people that work at the park actually have residence up in that area. And there's a town right there on the outside of the gate that's pretty popular. A lot of people stay there so that they can go into the park. On the way to get there from Fishing Bridge where we were, there's an area where they were rebuilding the road, and they had it down to the stopping the traffic from one direction so that the traffic from the other direction could go. And these people that are rebuilding the road are literally in equipment that is hanging off the side of the road. And
Over a river.
it was just, to me, that must take a lot of courage. Of course, I'm terrified of heights, but it just kind of, to me, probably what it represented was that we're in a very natural setting, but it takes manpower to keep it available to us.
Yep.
Because if it were just left up to nature, then basically that road would no longer be passable, and you wouldn't be able to go through from one area to the other, and so your experience would be much more limited, or there'd be much greater effort. So hats off to the people that do that stuff.
Okay, so that was kind of their harrowing moment, but so this is kind of running long, so we're going to try to wrap this up a little bit here. Just best benefit of RVing.
Seeing all the stuff that we see, the places that we see, and people, getting to spend the time with the people that we would not be able to spend that kind of or amount of time with.
Yes, we got to see the grandkids quite a bit. Got to see my cousin out in Oregon, which I've never been. We've never been to her house before, so got to go out there. just going around and seeing people, and even meeting people in campgrounds. We've met lots of people, and we got friends in all kinds of states that, you know, we've stopped and seen, and we're gonna see them again here in the summer. So that's the best. What's about the worst thing for RVing?
Stuff that breaks.
Stuff that breaks, and that's happening more this year than it did last year. Just
because we've put a lot more miles.
We've put a lot of miles on the RV, so there'll be some statistics at the end of this video, just like the last one, where it'll say how many miles we've driven this year and how many things we visited, stuff like that. But it'll be here at the very end. All right, last question. Is there anything you do different?
If it were possible to do that, I'm sure there are things that come to mind, but honestly, I'm going to say no, because the only way that we would know that we would do them differently is if we had known what was going to happen in the first place. And so I say whatever happens is part of the journey, and we roll with it, and we overcome, and
we expect them. We expect things, and we plan for that. We have contingency plans. Just one quick example: when we got to Yellowstone, the very first day we checked in, and then we had to drive 3 hours to emergency room hospital, and I spent the weekend in the being admitted from the ER, and nothing happened. It was a false alarm, but that was one of the contingencies we talked about, and we had to execute it. So.
Well, the other thing is we learned the hard way that you don't leave your awning out overnight.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what.
Don't leave your awning out in a rainstorm or a windstorm, because you're gonna pay for it. Although we fixed it ourselves, we didn't pay much for it, but it's still, we had to go through the effort.
You fixed it.
Yeah, fixing stuff. So.
Mostly, but
other than that, no. I think
that's the thing I would do differently.
Okay.
We would not leave the awning out overnight. Okay.
All right, been good talking to you.
What about future plans for
2024? Well, we've already got it set out. We're going from here. We're going to go to Texas and watch the eclipse at our brother's house. Then we're going to travel up through Oklahoma, Kansas, go to Nebraska, stay with our moms for a month and a half, and then in late May we're coming right back here to Solomon's Island in Maryland, spend a month here, and then we'll spend the rest of the summer in North Carolina. From there we'll have a home base. We'll just go on little trips from there, and then
for the summer.
Then we'll end up back in Maryland again in September. Then we're gonna head back to Nebraska and spend the month of October with our moms. And
Thanksgiving in Key West.
Thanksgiving in Key West, and
Christmas in North
Carolina. And then
New Year's in Dallas.
New Year's
Texas.
Day we'll be in Dallas, Texas, celebrating New Year's Eve with her brother Dan. So that's the plans for the rest of 2024. So been good talking to you. There's statistics coming up.
Thanks for listening.
And subscribe and like.